This week's Torah portion, Teze, with Rabbi Moshe Birdugo, a giant from Morocco, living in the early 18th century, possibly a chevruta of the Or HaChaim. It's enough to read what the Rav Kook wrote in an introduction to Rabbi Moshe Birdugo's commentary, which was published hundreds of years after his death, 200 years after his death. Rav Kook talks about a giant, nicknamed the Mashbir. Rav Kook quotes the Chida, another giant, who says this was a grand rabbi. So what is Rabbi Moshe Birdugo's take on Teze? What is the war that we are going out to? So the Pshat tells us, the simple meaning of the verse is we're going out to war. We see this beautiful Sheila, we want to take her to be our own. And there's a process. We need to shave her head, chop off her nails, and then we can keep her. We don't like her, we can set her free. That's what it says. Rabbi Moshe Birdugo is actually telling us that we need to understand, if we really want to understand what's going on here, we have to follow what the Kabbalists say. And Kabbalists, specifically Lurianic Kabbalah, Tzfadian Kabbalah, sees this verse is all about reincarnation. To be more specific, it's about a specific secret within reincarnation called impregnation, ibur. What are we talking about here? Rabbi Moshe Birdugo says that the person going out to war here is the righteous, the tzaddik. Tzaddik goes into shul. He sees Jews praying. One of the purposes, the roles of the tzaddik, is to save the fragments of captured souls that have entered into bodies, and he sets them free. What does this mean? What have I just said? Okay, at Reincarnation 101. Reincarnation, we all understand what it means. We have one soul, a neshama, that we allocate to one body. Very simple. However, there's a little wrinkle that makes things more complicated. So what I just said, a soul allocated to a body, the body then perishes, and the soul then reincarnates, transmigrates to a different body. This is Gilgul Neshamot. Ibur, however, is something else. Impregnation is when there is a body that has a soul, but it becomes impregnated, means enters into it, a fragment of another person's soul. Why? Either to help that body, that soul, with certain commandments, or to perform a commandment for its own. Sometimes, when the fragment of souls impregnate themselves, enter into someone else's body and soul, they get stuck there. So the role of the tzaddik, of the righteous, the person going out to war here is the tzaddik, who is meant to look and save the fragments of souls that have done what they need to do, either fix a mitzvah or help the body itself and the new soul, and then to bugger off. He helps them bugger off. And then we are told, right, if you do one commandment, one positive thing, there's a corollary and another positive thing happens. And this leads to the continuation. We are told about, you go out to war, the tzaddik goes to war. Now we are talking about the fragment of the soul of a righteous person. He enters into the body of a person that already has a soul, and he falls in love with the soul of this body. This is the Eshet Yafat Torah. This is the beautiful woman. Why is she called the Eshet Yafat Torah? Because she is already betrothed to another. The fragment of the soul of a tzaddik enters into the body of a person that already has a soul. She already belongs to this body. But the fragment of the soul of the tzaddik falls in love with this other soul. He wants to stay. You want to stay? The continuation, Rabbi Moshe Birdugo tells us, you need to be warned that if you want to, even though you came to chap a mitzvah, you're chapping a ride in short distance, but you want to stay, you then have to take upon yourself all the things, all the filth that soul has to fix and correct in this lifetime. That's the shaving of the head, that's the cutting of the nails. You want to stay, you can stay even though you weren't meant to. You're just a hitchhiker, but you want to stay, you have to fix everything that soul has to fix. And if you don't like it, you can bugger off. You can leave. But those are the conditions. Thoughts on the Torah portion of Teze by the great Rabbi Moshe Birdugo. Shabbat Shalom.